Hello and welcome all students. Students, in the previous video, we had seen about the United Nations, its background, the chronology of the establishment of the United Nations, the objectives of the United Nations, and the principles of the United Nations. Today, what we are going to see is the structure of the United Nations. Students, come to your textbook page number 78. The structure of the United Nations. The United Nations Charter describes the structure and functioning of the organization. The United Nations has six main organs. First, General Assembly. Second, Security Council. Third, Economic and Social Council. Fourth, International Court of Justice. Fifth, Trusteeship. And sixth, Secretariat. So today in detail we are going to see about the six main organs of the United Nations. So students, first we'll start with the General Assembly. All the member countries are members of the General Assembly. The position and status of all the countries, whether they are rich or poor, big or small, is the same. Every year, the General Assembly meets in its session from September to December. During the session, the General Assembly discusses important issues like environment, disarmament, etc. The decisions in the General Assembly are taken by majority. These decisions are in the form of resolutions. Thus, the General Assembly only passes resolutions, it does not make laws. The significance of the General Assembly lies in being a platform for representatives of member nations to come together and discuss and make policy decisions on issues of global importance. Now we shall see the functions of the General Assembly. Functions of General Assembly. First, to elect the non-permanent members of the Security Council. Second, to choose the United Nations Secretary General and the judges of the International Court of Justice, that is ICJ, in consultation with the Security Council. Third, to pass the annual budget of the United Nations. So these are the functions of the General Assembly. Now we shall see the Security Council. The Security Council. Security Council. There are 15 members in the Security Council. Of them, 5 are permanent members, while 10 are non-permanent members. The non-permanent members are chosen every 2 years by the General Assembly. America, France, Russia, England and China are permanent members of the Security Council. They have the veto power. For any decision to be taken, the assent of the all 5 members and 4 non-permanent members is necessary. If even one of the 5 permanent members uses the veto, gives a negative vote, the decision cannot be taken. Now let's see the function of the Security Council. The main responsibility of the Security Council is to maintain international peace and security. The Security Council may suggest one among the following alternatives in situation of international conflict and resolve conflict and efforts to establish peace, impose economic sanction, or take the decision of military action against the aggressor nation. Second is to prepare policies for arms control. Number 3, to play a joint role along with the General Assembly in the appointment of the judges of the International Court of Justice and of the United Nations Secretary General. So these are the functions of Security Council. Now we shall see the next, that is Economic and Social Council. Suggestions are being made to reform the Security Council and make it more democratic. India is making efforts to get the permanent membership of the Security Council. The next that we are going to see is Economic and Social Councils. So we'll see about Economic and Social Council, students. The main objective of this organization is to coordinate the economic and social policies of the United Nations. The Council has 54 members. They are elected by the General Assembly. Each member has a tenure of 3 years, and each year, 1/3 of the members are newly chosen. Decisions are taken by majority vote. We shall see the functions of the Economic and Social Councils. Number 1. Initiate discussion at the global level on issues like poverty, unemployment, economic and social inequality, and suggest policies to tackle these problems. Number 2. Discusses issues like the women's question, empowerment of women, human rights, fundamental freedom, global trade, health related issues, etc., and make decisions. Number 3. Make efforts to establish cultural and education cooperation at the international level. Number 4. Coordinates the function of the different organizations working in association with the United Nations. Now we shall see the next organ, that is the Secretariat Council. The Secretariat has the responsibility of carrying out the administrative tasks of the United Nations. The chief of the Secretariat is the Secretary General. He is elected by the General Assembly and the Security Council, and his tenure is of 5 years. The function of Secretariat: Number 1. To call international conference on global problems like climate change, human rights, disarmament, etc. Number 2. To organize a meeting of the General Assembly and Security Council. Number 3. To compile or assemble informations. To supply information to the media. Now we shall see the next, that is the International Court of Justice. International Court of Justice means the judicial branch of the United Nations. The International Court of Justice is located at The Hague in the Netherlands. There are 15 judges in the International Court of Justice. They are chosen by the General Assembly and the Security Council. Every judge has a tenure of 9 years. Function of the International Court of Justice: to select, Number 1. To select the dispute between 2 or more member nations of the United Nations. Number 2. To interpret international law authentically. Number 3. To advise various organs or subsidiary bodies of the United Nations about legal issues. The next is the Trusteeship Council. After the Second World War, the territories that were underdeveloped were placed under the responsibility of the developed nation. The latter were supposed to help bring about the development of the trust territories, and once they attained independence from their colonies, help establish democracy. The work of the Trusteeship Council is over as there are no trust territories left. The work of the Trusteeship Council ended when Palau got independent on 1st November 1994. Palau is an island in the Pacific Ocean 500 meters east of Philippines. This is the Palau, where it was being held by the Trusteeship Council. So with this, students, today we have seen the different structure of the United Nations. The next part we shall do it later. Thank you.